Oh, hi there. Good to see you. Right, what we're going to do tonight is we are looking at Philippians chapter 4. So on Sunday we were thinking about how to find real peace. And we looked at Philippians chapter 4, the first 9 verses, and we saw that Paul was a veteran of finding peace in a really difficult situation. So we thought a bit about how if we were on death row, that would be super stressful and would make us anxious, or maybe we try and distract ourselves and numb out the pain. But that was the situation Paul was in when he wrote this letter, and he's offering a suggestion of that there is peace available for all of us, and peace with God, obviously, as Christians, and also a way to experience a life filled with anxiety. So we focused mainly on verses 4, 5 and 6. So just look at it in your Bibles again. So it says, "Rejoice in the Lord always." I'll say it again, rejoice. "Let your gentleness be evident to all. The Lord is near. Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition with thanksgiving, present your requests to God." So we looked at those verses and the ones around them, and we're going to do that in Life Group tonight. But I just want to remind you what we saw. So on Sunday, we saw that Paul says in verse 6 that instead of being anxious and fretting about all the different things in our lives that are really difficult, instead of kind of thinking we're in control and we've got to sort everything out, what we should do instead is, instead of being anxious, we could turn our cares into prayers. When the stress of life hits, Paul very simply says, verse 6, pray about it. We heard that Martin Luther said, pray and let God worry. So, and we noticed that there was an interesting thing in verse 6 that Paul says, in the stress of life, in the terrible things, pray with thanksgiving. And Paul wasn't saying, we need to pretend that bad things are good, but praying with thanksgiving is thanking God that He's in control, that He's got it sorted. So we're going to think a bit about what that means and how we could do this in reality. And we also saw that the way to find peace is to do with rejoicing in the Lord. That's something that we can always do. And so we'll be thinking together, how could we do that more and more? And then at the end, we saw Paul saying that the way to peace, I guess the path to tranquility, lots of people would say, it's through kind of emptying your minds and just being mindful or whatever. But verse 8, Paul says the way to find peace is through filling our minds and dwelling on the truths of the gospel. So let's have a bit of a chat about how we can do that. Hope you enjoyed tonight's study.